Zhou Guanyu's family life growing up in China was marked by unwavering support and a shared belief in his dreams. Despite the unique challenges that come with pursuing a career in motorsport in a country with limited racing infrastructure. Born on May 30, 1999, in Shanghai, Zhou grew up in a relatively affluent family. His parents, while not directly involved in motorsport, played an essential role in nurturing his passion for racing and providing the resources needed to chase his ambitions. Zhou's interest in motorsport came as a bit of a surprise to his family. Unlike many young drivers in Europe, Zhou did not grow up surrounded by a rich racing culture. Motorsport was not a prominent sport in China, and there were very few karting tracks or opportunities for young drivers to develop their skills in the way that European racers could. Nevertheless, his parents were open-minded and keen to support whatever passion their son developed. When Zhou's fascination with cars and speed became clear at a young age, his parents embraced it fully, realizing early on that this was more than just a passing interest. His parents' support was not only emotional but also financial. Racing is an incredibly expensive sport, requiring not just equipment and entry fees, but also the ability to travel and compete internationally, especially for a young driver from China where the infrastructure for motorsport was lacking. Recognizing the potential in their son's passion, Zhou's parents committed to giving him the best possible chance to succeed. This meant not just financing his early karting career but making significant sacrifices to enable Zhou to pursue his dreams. They were determined to help him compete in Europe, where the racing scene was far more developed and competitive. One of the biggest challenges Zhou's family faced was the decision to move him to Europe to further his racing career. In China, there were very few opportunities for him to progress beyond local karting competitions, so at the age of 12, Zhou and his family made the difficult decision to move to the UK. His parents knew that moving Zhou halfway across the world was a bold and costly step, but it was a necessary one if he were to have any chance of making it to the top levels of motorsport. The move to the UK gave him access to better training, more competitive racing circuits, and a chance to compete with and learn from some of the best young talents in the world. Throughout his journey, Zhou's parents maintained a balance of encouragement and realism. They didn't want to pressure him unnecessarily, but they also made sure he understood the sacrifices being made for him to chase his dream. This balance of support and discipline helped Zhou stay grounded and focused as he moved up the racing ladder. The family's determination and belief in Zhou's potential were key factors in his rise from karting to the elite ranks of single-seater racing. Their emotional support was equally crucial. Racing is a mentally demanding sport, and Zhou's parents helped him navigate the pressures of competition and the challenges of living in a foreign country at such a young age. They instilled in him resilience and a belief in his abilities, values that would become essential as he faced the ups and downs of a racing career. In a country where motorsport was still in its infancy, Zhou Guanyu's parents took bold steps to give him the chance to pursue his passion, breaking through barriers and making personal sacrifices along the way. Their emotional and financial support laid the foundation for Zhou's rise to becoming China's first full-time Formula One driver, a groundbreaking achievement for both him and his country. Zhou Guanyu was born on May 30, 1999, in Shanghai, China, a city known for its fast-paced energy, bustling streets, and modern skyline. Growing up in one of China's most dynamic cities had a profound influence on Zhou's personality and interests. From an early age, Zhou was immersed in an environment that thrived on ambition and growth, and he was naturally drawn to anything that embodied speed and excitement. This fast-paced upbringing in Shanghai would later mirror the quick reflexes and mental sharpness he'd need in his racing career. As a child, Zhou was curious, energetic, and driven by a love of competition. His early interests reflected his active personality, and while he was athletic, his fascination with cars and speed emerged early on. He loved playing with toy cars and would often watch motorsport on television, captivated by the sight of high-performance vehicles racing at blistering speeds. Despite China not having a strong motorsport culture, Zhou's interest in racing grew organically. His love for cars set him apart from many of his peers, as he didn't come from a family with a deep motorsport history, but rather a city where motorsport was still relatively niche. Before fully discovering motorsport, Zhou enjoyed other hobbies typical of his age, including playing football and spending time with friends. However, none of these activities gave him the same thrill that he found in speed in cars. His natural curiosity and determination meant that he was always searching for something that would challenge him, and that moment came when he attended his first karting event in Shanghai. At 8 years old, Zhou's parents took him to a local karting track, and it was there that his life changed forever. Sitting behind the wheel of a kart for the first time was a pivotal moment for Zhou. He instantly felt a connection with the sport, as though he had found his true passion. Karting allowed him to combine his love for speed with the thrill of competition, and from that moment on, Zhou was hooked. He quickly showed an aptitude for racing, demonstrating not only raw talent, but also a keen understanding of the mechanics of racing. His curiosity led him to learn everything he could about the sport, from race strategies to vehicle dynamics, and this deep understanding would serve him well in the years to come. Zhou's early personality traits, his determination, curiosity, and ability to stay focused under pressure, began to signal his future potential as a professional driver. Even as a young boy, he showed a relentless drive to improve. Whether it was on the karting track or in his daily life, Zhou was always pushing himself to be better, learning from every experience and never backing down from a challenge. His parents, recognizing this determination, provided him with the opportunities and support to explore his passion further. As his passion for motorsport grew, Zhou's competitive spirit became more evident. He thrived in high-pressure situations and relished the challenge of racing against others, even when he was still a novice. His love for the technical side of the sport also began to emerge, as he showed an early interest in understanding the machines he was driving, a curiosity that would later become essential in his rise through the ranks of motorsport. Growing up in Shanghai, a city known for its energy and drive, undoubtedly shaped Zhou Guanyu's character. His childhood was filled with exploration, curiosity, and a thirst for speed, all of which laid the foundation for his future as a professional racing driver. That first experience in a kart at just 8 years old ignited a passion that would define the rest of his life, setting him on a path to become China's first full-time Formula One driver. His early determination, competitive spirit, and insatiable curiosity were clear indicators of the greatness that was to come. Zhou Guanyu began making a name for himself in motorsport during his karting years, but his rise to fame truly accelerated when he moved to Europe, where the level of competition and exposure to motorsport was far higher than in China. Zhou's family made the bold decision to relocate him to the UK at the age of 12, a critical move that would set the stage for his professional career. The transition from racing in China to competing against the best young talents in Europe was a significant step in Zhou's journey, but it was also where he first began to establish himself as China's most promising racing talent. In his karting career, Zhou quickly stood out in European competitions, consistently racing against some of the best young drivers in the world. By 2013, he had already made an impression by finishing second in the Rotax Max Euro Challenge in the junior class, a sign that he was ready to progress to the next level of racing. His success in karting helped him gain recognition, but it was his smooth transition to single-seaters that truly cemented his reputation. In 2015, Zhou made his debut in single-seaters, joining the Italian F4 Championship. In his first full season, he impressed by finishing second in the championship, winning multiple races and podiums throughout the year. His performances in Formula 4 confirmed that he was not just a talented karting driver but also someone with the potential to rise through the ranks of junior motorsport. This success helped establish him as China's top racing talent, a status that carried both pride and pressure as he was seen as the future face of Chinese motorsport on the global stage. Zhou's career took another significant step forward when he was signed to the Ferrari Driver Academy in 2014. Being part of the Ferrari program was a monumental achievement for a young driver, and it provided Zhou with access to world-class training, resources, and guidance. His entry into the Ferrari Driver Academy marked him as a serious contender for a future Formula One seat, as the program had a track record of producing top-tier talent. The Ferrari connection also gave Zhou a sense of legitimacy and a pathway toward Formula One, but it came with the expectation of delivering strong performances at every step of his career. After his successful stint in Formula 4, Zhou moved up to Formula 3 in 2016, racing in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship for 3 seasons. While his time in Formula 3 was marked by learning experiences and consistent development, it was in Formula 2 where Zhou truly came into his own as a driver. He made his Formula 2 debut in 2019 with Univirtuosi Racing and immediately caught the attention of the motorsport world by winning his first race in just his second season in the series. Zhou's 2020 and 2021 campaigns in Formula 2 were particularly impressive, with several podiums and wins that showcased his skill, racecraft, and maturity on track. Zhou's standout performances in Formula 2, where he consistently fought at the front of the pack, caught the eye of several Formula 1 teams. His ability to deliver under pressure, coupled with his steady progression, positioned him as a legitimate candidate for a Formula 1 seat. Sauber, Alfa Romeo, took notice of Zhou's talent, and in 2021, it was announced that Zhou would make the jump to Formula 1 with Alfa Romeo in 2022, making history as China's first full-time F1 driver. Zhou Guanyu's rise to fame is a story of perseverance, talent, and strategic moves. From his karting successes in Europe to his breakthrough in Formula 2 and eventual entry into Formula 1, Zhou's journey has been shaped by his relentless pursuit of excellence. His inclusion in the Ferrari Driver Academy played a crucial role in his development, but it was his consistent performances and adaptability across different series that solidified his place in the world of motorsport and paved the way for his historic debut in Formula 1. Zhou Guanyu's journey to Formula 1 has been a remarkable one, but it has not been without its challenges and obstacles. As China's first full-time Formula 1 driver, Zhou has carried immense pressure and responsibility, not just for himself, but for a nation eager to see its presence grow in the world's premier motorsport. From the moment his Formula 1 seat with Alfa Romeo was announced in 2021, Zhou was thrust into the global spotlight, and with it came the weight of expectations from his country and the world. One of Zhou's first challenges was adapting to the intensity and complexity of Formula 1. Transitioning from Formula 2 to Formula 1 is never easy, even for the most talented drivers. The cars are faster, the technology is more advanced, and the competition is fiercer. Zhou had to quickly get used to not only the physical demands of driving a Formula 1 car, but also the mental challenge of racing against the best drivers in the world. In his debut season, Zhou faced moments where he struggled with performance, particularly in qualifying sessions where the margins between success and failure are razor-thin. Despite these hurdles, he showed resilience, learning from each race and steadily improving throughout the season. The pressure of being China's first full-time Formula 1 driver also weighed heavily on Zhou. His debut was a historic moment, and with it came heightened scrutiny, both from within China and internationally. The Chinese motorsport community had been waiting for years for a driver to represent them in Formula 1, and Zhou was suddenly not just racing for himself, but for the hopes of an entire nation. Public and media expectations were immense, and Zhou had to navigate the complexities of being a trailblazer. While he had the support of fans, he also had to deal with detractors who doubted his abilities, questioning whether he had earned his seat on merit or if his financial backing played a significant role in his rise to F1. Moments of self-doubt naturally crept in, particularly early in his debut season when Zhou had a series of challenging races. For instance, early on, there were times when mechanical issues or strategic missteps led to poor results, despite his strong performances in practice and qualifying. There were races where he finished far outside the points, and the gap between him and his more experienced teammate Valtteri Bottas was noticeable. These difficult moments were a test of Zhou's mental toughness and determination. However, instead of allowing these setbacks to affect his confidence, Zhou used them as learning experiences, focusing on how to improve and close the gap to the front of the field. Another significant challenge was the public and media scrutiny surrounding his rise to Formula 1. There was constant speculation about whether his Chinese sponsorships and financial backing had played a role in securing his seat at Alfa Romeo. These pay driver claims added to the pressure on Zhou to prove that he was not just in Formula 1 because of his financial support, but because of his talent and hard work. Zhou handled these accusations with maturity, refusing to let the noise distract him from his focus on racing. He remained composed, allowing his results on track to speak for themselves. In his debut season, Zhou's perseverance paid off when he scored his first Formula One points in his very first race at the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix. This result was a significant milestone for him, validating his place in the sport and silencing some of the early critics. Throughout the season, Zhou's steady improvement, racecraft, and adaptability earned him respect within the paddock and among fans. While Zhou's journey to Formula One has been filled with challenges, from performance struggles to the pressure of representing an entire nation, his mental resilience and determination have helped him overcome these obstacles. By focusing on continuous improvement and maintaining his composure under scrutiny, Zhou has proven that he belongs in Formula One, not just as China's first full-time driver, but as a competitor capable of achieving even more in the years to come. Zhou Guanyu's biggest triumph in motorsport so far is undoubtedly his first points finish in Formula One, achieved at the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix, his debut race in the sport. This moment not only marked a personal milestone for Zhou but also carried significant meaning for China and its motorsport community. As the first full-time Chinese driver in Formula One, Zhou entered the race under immense pressure. The eyes of his country and the global motorsport community were upon him, and many doubted whether he could handle the expectations. But when he crossed the finish line in 10th place, securing a point in his very first race, it was a moment of validation, triumph, and pride. This achievement was monumental, both for Zhou and for Chinese motorsport. The pressure of being the first Chinese driver to race full-time in Formula One was always present. He was aware that he wasn't just racing for himself, but also for the millions of fans back home who had long waited to see their country represented on the biggest stage in motorsport. The symbolism of his achievement transcended the race itself. It demonstrated that China could produce a talent capable of competing at the highest level of the sport. For Zhou, securing his first points in Bahrain was proof that his years of hard work, dedication, and sacrifices had been worth it. Zhou's personal emotions during that moment of success were overwhelming. He had battled doubts, criticism, and the challenge of adapting to the fast-paced world of Formula One, and to achieve a points finish in his debut was a dream come true. After the race, Zhou reflected on how surreal the moment felt, describing it as something he had long dreamed of as a young boy growing up in Shanghai. Despite the challenges he had faced along the way, from relocating to Europe at a young age to dealing with the pay driver narrative, this result showed that he belonged on the F1 grid purely on merit. For Zhou's family, this triumph held immense significance. His parents, who had supported him emotionally and financially throughout his journey, had sacrificed a great deal to help him reach this point. Watching their son secure points in his first race was a moment of pride and relief, as their faith in his abilities had been vindicated on the global stage. It was a testament to the hard work that Zhou and his family had invested in his career, from his early karting days in Shanghai to the high-pressure world of Formula One. The impact of Zhou's success extended beyond his family and into the broader Chinese motorsport community. His points finish in Bahrain sent ripples through China, inspiring young drivers and fans who had long hoped to see a Chinese athlete succeed at the pinnacle of motorsport. His achievement was not just a personal victory but a breakthrough moment for Chinese motorsport, which had struggled for decades to establish itself in the world's premier racing series. Zhou's success helped fuel the belief that China could produce world-class racing talent and that the country could have a more prominent role in the future of Formula One. Zhou Guanyu's triumph in Bahrain was more than just a result on a scoresheet. It was a defining moment in his career that symbolized perseverance, talent, and national pride. For Zhou, his family, and Chinese motorsport, it was a breakthrough that validated years of hard work and sacrifice. It proved that Zhou was capable of competing at the highest level and marked the beginning of what promises to be a long and impactful career in Formula One. Though Zhou Guanyu's career is still in its early stages, signs of his long-term impact on motorsport are already beginning to emerge. As China's first full-time Formula One driver, Zhou is breaking new ground, both on and off the track, and his presence in the sport holds significant meaning for the development of motorsport in China. His role at Sauber, Alfa Romeo, continues to evolve, and the expectations for his future are high as he works to solidify his position within Formula One and lay the groundwork for a legacy that extends beyond his driving career. Zhou's entry into Formula One with Sauber, Alfa Romeo, marked a historic moment, not just for his own career but for Chinese motorsport. Since joining the team in 2022, Zhou has steadily improved, gaining valuable experience and showing flashes of his potential. His rookie season was marked by steady progress, and while his results didn't immediately place him among the top drivers, his consistent performances earned him respect within the paddock. As Zhou continues to adapt to the demands of Formula One, his role within Sauber has evolved from being a rookie finding his feet to a more confident and reliable driver who can contribute to the team's development. Zhou's presence at Alfa Romeo is not just about his own performance but also about the team's broader ambitions. With his backing from China and increasing global recognition, Zhou brings commercial value to the team, helping Sauber establish stronger ties with Asian markets, particularly China. As Alfa Romeo transitions into its future with new leadership, Zhou's role could grow even more critical, both in terms of on-track success and helping to expand the team's global footprint. There are expectations that Zhou, if given a more competitive car, could challenge for higher points finishes and even podiums in the coming years. Zhou's influence goes far beyond his driving. His presence in Formula One has already contributed to the growth of motorsport in China. His success has inspired a new generation of young Chinese drivers who now see a path to the pinnacle of motorsport. Before Zhou, Formula One seemed distant and unattainable for many aspiring racers in China, but his rise to the top has shown that with talent, determination, and support, it is possible. His story has sparked a greater interest in motorsport among the Chinese public, leading to increased attention on karting and junior racing programs in the country. In terms of his broader impact on the sport, Zhou's presence in Formula One is helping to accelerate the global expansion of the sport, particularly in Asia. China is seen as a key growth market for Formula One, and having a Chinese driver on the grid has brought greater visibility to the sport in the region. Zhou has become an ambassador for Formula One in China, helping to promote the sport to a new audience and fostering a connection between China and the global motorsport community. His influence may also encourage future investments in racing infrastructure and the creation of more opportunities for young drivers to develop in China. Beyond his immediate success in Formula One, there are signs that Zhou's long-term impact could extend into other areas of the sport. He has already become a role model for young drivers in China and could one day take on a mentorship role, helping to nurture the next generation of Chinese racers. Additionally, Zhou's understanding of the global appeal of Formula One, combined with his popularity in Asia, positions him to play a role in promoting the sport beyond his driving career, perhaps as a business figure or ambassador for motorsport development in China. In conclusion, while Zhou Guanyu's career is still young, the signs of his legacy are already clear. His influence extends beyond his performances on track, as he inspires future racers, contributes to the growth of motorsport in China, and helps expand the global reach of Formula One. As he continues to develop and make his mark in the sport, Zhou's long-term impact on both Chinese motorsport and the international racing community is only just beginning to unfold.